Good morning, students. This is Shalini teacher. Welcome to Module 2. In this module, we shall discuss about the Fourth Anglo Mysore War and Subsidiary Alliance. Let us recapitulate what we have studied in our previous module. This is a flowchart. War 1, the first war. Hyder and Marathas are friends. Nizam backs off from helping English. Hyder Ali defeats English. Second Anglo-Mysore War. Hyder attacks English. Two new heroes joined, Tipu Sultan and Sir Ayar Kote. The famous siege of Arcot. Result was that it was a draw. Third Anglo-Mysore War. Treaty of Mangalore falls apart. Lord Cornwallis defeats Tipu. We shall now study the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, in which Tipu dies fighting Lord Wellesley. Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. By 1798, the British had sufficient time to recover from the Third Anglo-Mysore War. Richard Wellesley held the new British command. British-led coalition of nearly 50,000 troops in February of 1799. British pressed closer and closer to the Mysorean capital. Tipu Sultan had just 30,000 defenders. On May 4th, the British broke through the city walls with the help of Mir Sadiq. Battles fought. Anglo-Mysore Wars. Mysore was a powerful state under the leadership of Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan. 4 wars were fought between the British and Mysore. Finally, the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War in 1799 ended with the heroic death and defeat of Tipu Sultan. The British secured the ports of Coimbatore, Srirangapatnam and Kanara. The results of the war. The Fourth Anglo-Mysore War was a conflict in South India between the Kingdom of Mysore against the British East India Company and the Hyderabad Deccan in 1798 to 99. This was the final conflict of the 4 Anglo-Mysore Wars. The British captured the capital of Mysore. The ruler Tipu Sultan was killed in the battle. Let us start with subsidiary alliance now. Let me introduce Lord Wellesley to you. At the age of 37, he was appointed as the Governor General on 18th May 1798. His term of office for 7 years introduced an important phase in the development of British power in India. His policy allowed him to remove all kinds of French influence from India and to make the British the paramount power of the subcontinent. He succeeded in his job by implementing wars as well as by peaceful annexations through subsidiary alliances. The subsidiary alliance in South Asian history to describe an alliance between princely states and the British East India Company. It was framed by Lord Wellesley, British Governor General in India from 1798 to 1805. Early in his governorship, Wellesley adopted a policy of non-intervention in the princely states, but he later adopted the policy of forming subsidiary alliances, which played a major role in the expansion of British rule in India. The main principles of a subsidiary alliance. An Indian ruler entering into a subsidiary alliance with the British had to accept British forces within his territory and also agreed to pay for their maintenance. The ruler would accept a British resident in his state. An Indian ruler who entered into a subsidiary alliance would not enter into any further alliance with any other power, nor would he declare war against any power without the permission of the British. The ruler would not employ any European other than the British and if he were already doing so, he would dismiss them. In case of a conflict with any other state, he would agree the resolution decided upon by the British. Just see the picture of subsidiary alliance system, how Nawab is sitting with the Britishers to decide policies. I am repeating again, Indian states was to surrender its external relations to the care of the company. Under his subsidiary system, the ruler of the allying India state was compelled to accept the permanent stationing of British force within his territory and to pay a contributory for its maintenance. The states was to accept a British resident at its headquarters. Another point of information, Nizam of Hyderabad joined in the system in 1798, Mysore in 1799. Nawab of Awadh forced to sign in subsidiary system. Karnataka and Mysore merged in the system by 1801. By 1803, English forces defeated Maratha Peshwas and signed on subsidiary system. Students, this is an extra information for you. The Indian states that entered into subsidiary alliance were Hyderabad in 1798, Awadh in 1801, Mysore in 1799 and Tanjore in 1799 again. The effects, or why was the system advantageous for the English? They maintained huge or large armies at the expense of the Indian rulers. The English got valuable territories as subsidiary payment, which led to the expansion of the British Empire in India and an increase in its resources. The influence of other European rivals was removed from the courts of the Indian rulers. The English controlled the foreign policy of the subsidiary states. These are the disadvantages for Indian rulers. The Indian rulers of subsidiary states lost their independence. They became puppets in the hands of the English. The payment of huge subsidies led to a heavy drain on their resources. The administration collapsed. The English used this as an excuse to annex the kingdom on grounds of mismanagement. The rulers lost interest in the welfare of the people. Let us start with the written work in your notebook in the form of revision work. Exercise B, match the following, has to be done in your notebook. Let us start with question number 5, exercise D. It is a continuation of what we did in our last module. We discussed till question number 4. Question 5 says, what happened to Tipu Sultan in the 4th Anglo Mysore War? Mention the results of this war. The answer is on page 27 under the heading 4th Anglo Mysore War, second paragraph. The full paragraph is the answer which you have to write in 5 points. Question 6. Define the subsidiary alliance and list its main conditions. Answer is on page number 28 under the heading subsidiary alliance. First and second paragraph is the point and 4 conditions are mentioned on page number 29. Question 7. List the disadvantages to the Indian rulers who accepted the subsidiary alliance with the British. The answer is on page number 29 under the heading disadvantage to the Indian rulers. 3 disadvantages are given. Exercise C, true or false, also to be done in the notebook. Thank you, students.